Is this a privacy notice, or are you going to sell some of this information?
I'm not going to sell it.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi, welcome to the Wasatch Taxpayers Association Danieltown Candidate Forum. We wanted to reach out to the smaller towns in the valley and make sure everybody learned something new tonight about the candidates, and hopefully you enjoy our service that we're trying to provide the community. Tonight, we're going to start with the 3 candidates that are here, which is Stefanie Grady, Robyn Pearson, and John Glodowski. And Jeremy and John Blotter could not make it tonight, so we're going to start with them. Why don't you start? And we'll start with you, Stefanie. Give us an idea of tell us a little bit about yourself and then why you're running.
Absolutely. First off, I want to thank the Wasatch Taxpayers Association for hosting this. I think it's very important to meet everyone. And it's great to see so much interest with all the candidates and the people in the audience. I wish everyone good luck and on the upcoming election, and to remember we are all neighbors. And I hope we all want to do what is best for the town and not our own agendas. So a little bit about me. I am president of Grady Enterprises Incorporated. I'm a leader in supplying custom wear products in the mining industry. So I do a lot of administration work now, but I'm really proud of what I've done. I was the first woman selling wear products to the mines in America. Okay. So, and I am on the board of Utah Stock Dog Association, and we partner with Soldier Hollow for the Soldier Hollow Classic and the dog trials over Labor Day. I'm sure you've all been there. I've lived in Wasatch County since 2006, and I've lived in Daniel for 8 years out of those 15 years. I've lived in Utah since 1982. I grew up in Summit County, and I've seen firsthand what development does to a community, and it's happening in our community now. We all see that. And I moved to Daniel because it was my dream to have my horses on a farm and live a quiet, rural lifestyle and have some breathing room. I love the people, and there's a lot of you out there that I've met in Daniel and what it stands for. And it's rural and a little bit less rules. We're not just so stringent, okay? And why do I want to be on the council? I want to uphold RA5 zoning and keep our water pristine, keep our rural lifestyle, and preserve what Mike Duggan and others fought so hard to establish. And it's the last slice of heaven in this valley. I really feel passionate about living here and keeping Daniel intact. So a little bit about, if you want to know a little bit about what I've learned, I've been on.
We're going to go and do that next.
Okay, sorry.
Robyn, take a few minutes to introduce yourself.
I think almost everybody in this room knows me. I've been a resident of Daniel for 25 years.
And I'm going to ask you to speak up because we don't have microphones.
Okay.
So I want to make sure if anybody's watching the recording later, they'll hear you.
Thank
Thanks.
you. I've been a resident of Daniel for 25 years. When we first moved to this area, we were just enchanted by the ability to find a place with rural roots and rural feel to raise our children and raise our family. And so I'm very passionate about living in Danieltown, and I think it's a great place to be. From 1995 to 2005, I was the director of the Heber Valley Chamber of Commerce. And during that period of time, I was also the Wasatch County Economic Development Director. I was selected to be the Wasatch County Olympic Coordinator for the 2002 Winter Games. I was the founding member of the Soldier Hollow Legacy Foundation. I founded and funded the formation of the Wasatch County Housing Authority. And in that process, I secured millions of dollars in grants for infrastructure and development for Wasatch County. From 2005 and through 2019, I was the Deputy Director of the Utah Department of Natural Resources, appointed by Governor Herbert and by Governor Rain. Governor anyway, appointed by Governor Herbert, by Governor Huntsman, and reappointed by Governor Herbert, excuse me. So I just love to be a member of this town. But the real reason I'm running is not for winning or losing. I'm excited for the very first time to be able to present multiple names on the ballot so that you, the residents of this town, can select who you want to be your mayor and town council. And I don't know everything. I'm a quick learner. I am retired, and I have quite a bit of time on my hands, and so I know my wife would probably appreciate me. Other than chasing cows and killing weeds. So yeah, I'm excited to do this, but for me, it's not life or death, but it is important to give you a voice. That's why I'm doing it. Excuse me.
Thank you. John?
I'm John Glodowski. I grew up in Salt Lake, bought ground in end of '88 and moved up in '98, and been residents ever since. After we were incorporated into the town of Daniel, I was asked to see if I could be on the planning commission, and so I agreed to do that. And then after a couple of years of that, I was asked to see if I could serve on the council. There again, like Rob said, there's hardly anybody was volunteering to be on a council or on the planning commission, so I had no clue on a lot of the things, but we learned. I moved up here from Salt Lake. It's been on my fond dream since I was a kid, and to live in a rural area, and it's been something watching this valley go from the late 60s, 70s, 80s, and the 90s hitting people in the county. And so I can appreciate what Robyn's been through and going through that. I'm still running. I'd still like to stay on the council and do the best I can to keep things as straight as I can to keep what Mike Dugan and everybody else has worked their hinds off to give us a town so that we weren't gobbled up by Heber. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Sounds good to me. Thanks. Let's talk a little bit about what makes you qualified to work on some issues moving forward with Daniel. What have you learned? Two of you are incumbents, and what do you see the last few years of being on the council, and maybe what you know about the town, of where you're at right now and why you think you need to be on the council right now. John, could you start that, please?
Well, there again, like the others said, to keep us at a 5-acre minimum, unless we're grandfathered in with lesser, just so that the water supply is not downgraded, and to keep our taxes as low as possible. I mean, we've been able to lower our taxes twice since we've been incorporated, and we've never raised them. And that's due to the fact of everybody that's done and volunteered so much time and effort and their expertise to these different areas they have in. And all I can do is support these other people in their efforts and trying to do our due diligence on finding out what's going on and keep things as straight as possible.
Robyn?
Thank you. I have a master's degree in public administration from BYU, so public administration has just been my vocation. I've never been a politician. I've never run for office. But I have studied government probably as much as anything I've studied. And I recognize good government, and I recognize the increments of good government, what it takes to make cities and counties be effective. I served for 15 years as a county manager in Miller County, Utah, where we were undergoing the construction of the largest coal-fired power plant in west of the Mississippi. The community was growing. We were dealing with all kinds of impact issues. I went through that for 15 years. Delta went from 800, the population from 800 to 5,500. So I understand the basics of community development. I know that you've got to fight for what you want. That's very, very important. And I'm natural resource based. I understand, I oversaw the division of water rights and water resources. And so water is kind of like my middle name. I understand the essence of water, why we do what we do with water. So I think I've come to the table with some good knowledge and understanding. Again, I don't know everything. And I'm not here to criticize those that have served in open office before. I do believe I bring another level of vision, and I'd like to see a paradigm shift. I'd like to see people have the opportunity to express their ideas and concerns. I'd like to see more openness in our government. I'd like to see people have the ability to express their thoughts and views. And then on my signs it says I'm a fan of common sense. And Mark Twain once said common sense is the sense to be common. I'm just a common guy, I'm just an old cowboy that just wants to leave this community better than he found it.
Stephanie?
Thank you. There was so much to learn when I first came onto office, and I had no idea what it entailed. But the learning curve is behind me. There's just so much work that still needs to be done, and I'd like to continue to work on those issues that we're currently working on. I am your representative for the Heber Valley Airport Committee. I am your the CAC Committee for the Community Advisory Board. I have fought hard not to increase taxes. I voluntarily do not take my salary. And maybe there's some things that you don't know. I mean, Mike Duggan never took his salary when he was mayor. And I have voted no for pay raises. I have walked the line for our RA5 zoning. I look around and there's still pastures and livestock and elbow room and pristine water. At our last meeting, Tracy Richardson, who some of you did not hear or were not present, he thinks that we should maintain our RA5 zoning to keep our pristine water and to keep our aquifers high. Okay? And you know, we've improved the culinary water in Soldier Hollow, or in in Storm Haven by drilling a new well. And there's much more work to do in that area, and I'd like to continue to look at that and continue to improve that in our town. And I currently run a successful business, so I understand budgets and.
Great, thank you. Moving forward the next 10 years in Daniel, what do you see as maybe the top 2 pressing issues that the community is going to need to discuss, and how you feel about those 2 issues? Robyn, do you want to start?
Sure. At the top of my list is water. I mean, we live in the second driest state of the nation, and every drop of water is precious. And we are at the head of the watershed. It's important for us to continue to be vigilant. But it's also important for us to work closely together to protect our water rights. I think the Daniels Irrigation Company has the best water right in Wasatch County. And that didn't happen by accident. Thanks to the vision of some very, very important and stable people in our community, they could see the vision of what the community would look like if we didn't have water to sustain us. And there are others around, other communities around, and others in the lower valleys that only envy our water. And so water for me is number one. Secondly, protecting open space. We all moved to this community because of the way it was. And I want to preserve that for our children and grandchildren. Had an interesting experience. A friend of mine called and says, I've got some kids that live in the inner city of Las Vegas. And they want to come to Utah and see live large animals. They've never touched them. They've never seen them. They don't know really up front what a cow looks like, or a horse. When those kids came and I saw how important that was for them to have that kind of an experience, I just knew that people are going to want what we have. So we've just got to do everything in our power, not sell ourselves out for a mess of pottage. I hate the phrase that land and water both flow to money. I just hate that. People with conviction can make sure that doesn't happen. And that's what I want to do. I want to protect our way of life. I want our kids to feel safe riding their bicycles up and down the street. I just want what we have. And we shouldn't forget what we have. And we should protect it with every fiber of our being. So that's my two.
Let me just follow up with that,
Sure.
because everybody has a different idea of open space.
Sure.
And I sit on the Wasatch County Open Lands Board, so I'm aware that everybody has a different idea of what open space means. So I'm going to ask you, because the other two candidates did bring up the RA5 zone.
Excellent. Well,
How do you feel about the RA5 zone?
you all know how that zoning came about. It wasn't because of zoning, it was because of the health department that said if you're going to have a septic tank, you got to have a minimum of 5 acres to disperse the effluent. And so basically, they stated that anybody who's on a septic tank has to have, in rural parts of Wasatch County, has to have 5 acres. We have very porous soils, very rocky, the water just escapes so quickly. And if you don't have the ability to disperse that gray water, basically our system gets clogged. And so it's a protection issue. More than that, also, I want to protect agriculture. Farmers protect open space. They're the original protectors of open space. Many people don't give them credit. But farmers and ranchers were the guys that had the vision to basically say, let's don't sell out to rooftops and asphalt. I think it's very, very important that we nurture agriculture, that we teach our kids the importance of agriculture. These kids that came from Las Vegas had no idea where a burger from McDonald's comes from. No clue. And so I really, really want to keep our roots strong in agriculture and open space, because agriculture is a natural protector of open space.
Great, thank you. John?
And I agree. The open space and what Tracy informed us about the 5 acres and the septic tanks and where the water level was at, the aquifer. It's right now it's staying up where we're at, and nitrates are at a point that's slowly climbing, but we got a long ways to go before it starts really making a big difference. But there again, we want to keep that as pristine as possible. Our irrigation water, Cal Muir, John Anderson, those guys fought like hell to get that irrigation water. Of course, we're having treated sewer water going into it now, but we were the only ones that have a contract to keep that from happening, but it's still happening. The other things is growth. We're looking all around from our town, and we're just seeing houses going up, just, like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them a month in one little spot, and it's all over. And you're seeing apartment houses and everything else, and the traffic's going. Sometimes, a lot of times on these holiday weekends, it's pretty hard to get out of the town of Daniel to get on Highway 40 unless you've got a light. So,
Great,
you know, anyway,
thanks.
that's it.
Is that good?
That's good.
Stephanie, you've got
And
4 minutes.
Yeah, I'm passionate about the RA5. I mean, we all know that. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that. The expenses of subdividing to smaller lots would entail curb, gutter, sewer, expansion of water systems, and and sewer. And we just can't afford that. More bureaucracy, more taxes to pay for everything, traffic, light pollution, lose our water quality, additional zoning problems, more crime, more employees. We will look just like Heber, and we will jeopardize our rural community. I am passionate about the RA5 zoning and keeping that intact in the water. I can reiterate about how I feel about the water. I want to keep it pristine. I have a well. I want to keep using that well. And I just am passionate about Daniel and the people.
Great.
Yes.
Really quickly, each one of you say your name again, why you're running, and contact info that people can get a hold of you as quickly as you can. Thank you.
My name is John Glodowski. My phone number is 435-671-3508. My Gmail is johnglodowski, all lowercase, JOHNGLODOWSKI@gmail.com. And I just want to keep things moving and growing, and anybody that's coming to our meetings, we're sure glad to have them, and we want to hear any view anybody has, because we're all in it together.
Great, thanks. Robyn?
Thank you. I thought long and hard about doing this. I mean, I'm at the point in time in my life, I have 31 grandkids. I thought, wait, stop. You should be spending more time with your family. You should be doing other kinds of things. My wife and I, we love to travel, we love to go out and see things, but I also am passionate about good government. I just really am. And again, this is not a commentary about those who have served, because until you walk in their shoes, it's really, really difficult to see that perspective. The primary reason I'm running is to give you a voice. For the very first time, we're going to have candidates on a ballot, and for the very first time, we're having a primary election. And I applaud that. That's what democracy is all about. Giving the voice to the people, giving the choice to the people. I just think that's so very, very important. That's the primary reason I'm running. The secondary reason is I think we've lost perspective of what it means to be a public servant. There's two words. Oftentimes, a lot of people just don't think they go for it. Public and servant. I really am interested in being a public servant. I'd like, Stefanie will not take any salary for service, because I just don't, that's not important. That's not why I serve.
And can you give us your contact info really quick? We're
Better yet,
running out of
I'm
time.
going to put this back
Okay,
there,
great.
and they can grab one.
Well, if anybody's watching though,
Okay, well, my email address is rrpearson51@gmail.com. My phone number is 801-440-52.
great, thank you very much.
I'm Stefanie Grady. I'm running for town council. My cell phone number is 801-971-5210. My email address is Stefanie, and that's spelled with an F. And I'm adamant about that. STEFANIE@GradyEnterprises.biz. And this is a critical election. I have the experience, and I'm acquainted with the issues to move forward with another term. And I'm open to any questions or any concerns you may have, so please contact me.
Great, thank you. We're going to stop for a few minutes and